Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world, for Celtic fans all over the world. From Dundee to Dunedin, Greenock to Graz, wherever you happen to be watching from. You're very much part of A Celtic World, and look who we have here with us today. Not only are we joined by regular face David in Bangkok. Hello, David.
It's nice to know that I've got a regular face. It's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Gav. So, cheers.
Well, we also have joining us live by satellite link from Dublin, Pennsylvania, Shawnee Boy, the host of our North America show. How's it going, Shawnee?
Hey, Gav. Doing good, man. Nice and early here. Tough for me to wake up.
Yeah, very early. How does it feel to be on the show and not be the man at the controls?
It feels weird, actually. Yeah, but it's good. Less pressure.
You can relax. You can relax and enjoy it.
I know. I was sitting there holding the mouse, and I'm like, I don't even need to really do that. So it's nice.
Right. Hello to everyone who's in the chat. Good to see everybody pouring in. It's big, thick numbers as usual. Let's say hello to a few faces. Joining us on this happy day to look back at the game of the weekend, which was, well, not so happy. Hail to everyone. Celtic podcast royalty, says Ampang Boy, with Sean on the show. Look at this. The pupil has surpassed the teacher. All right. Right, well, let's get things going. Let me put this up, and we will start. Oh dear, we've lost the screen share. Just a second. So much for the teacher. Let's start with this. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Absolute stinker, which describes the game that we all had to sit through. There's Brendan holding his nose. And it's pretty obvious that there's something rotten in the state of Celtic. So we're going to dig into that, aren't we, gents?
Yeah.
Tell us about the circumstances of you watching the game, Shawnee.
So it was a 7 a.m. kickoff for us, which gets tough to get to a CSE for me because I'm like an hour away from the Philly CSE. There's times where I get up to New York, and I was actually had plans to go up the day before. So I was in New York on Saturday. It would have been nice to be able to see the boys up in New York because they have a new pub. They moved actually from Jack Dempsey's to a pub called Ernie O'Malley's, which is a smaller place, and I haven't got a chance to see it yet. I know, so just missed opportunity there just from scheduling wise. But so I ended up watching it in my house by myself with my dog, sitting on my feet, cup of coffee.
Nice.
Was looking forward to it all week, and it was just a brutal game, as we'll sure get into.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to it as well, and did the drink along, like I say, with Dano and the other David. And I think the quality of the game is inversely proportional to the amount that you end up drinking on the drink along. So by the end of it, I was not too great. And in fact, when I was saving the stills for today's show, I found myself kind of going, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that happened, especially towards the end of the game. David, were you in the world famous?
World famous, absolutely, Gav. Yep, Bangkok Celtic Supporters Club on the rooftop. Yeah, it was all set for a great return after the international break, but sadly let down.
Well, there was Shawnee putting the kettle on, having a cup of tea. Big Dom used to put the kettle on at half time. Now he does it for 90 minutes. Yep. Yeah, we hear you. All right. Well, before we get into the game, I suppose we need to talk a little bit about circumstances around the game. Here's a Football Away Days tweet. Celtic fans throw tennis balls onto the pitch at Dundee today as they continue their protests against the board. Don't know if you've seen this angle of the action. Look at that. Now, this is obviously something that's going to divide opinion, and might even divide opinion among the people on the show. Because I saw, Shawnee, you were not too impressed with this whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And like I said, I've been all for all the protests, even the idea of doing the silent protests, which kind of affect I guess, play on the field if it's a dead crowd and not getting behind the players to start the match or whatever. But I don't know. I just thought this was. I don't know that it really has any effect on the people on the board. Do they care? And I think it just pissed off the players more than anything. And I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it brought attention, I guess, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly, almost more than anything.
Yeah. I think we have to say that this was not sanctioned by the Celtic Fans Collective. This wasn't a step that they publicised was going to happen. And we're a part of that. I think this was clearly the Green Brigade doing their own thing.
Right.
And although they're part of the collective, it seems they're keen to have the freedom to do whatever they want independently, which is their prerogative, of course. But, I'm not sure how fan unity that way lies, David. What, did it do anything for you?
I'm not sure, Gav. Actually, I think it probably was sanctioned by the collective.
Do you think
and
that?
when they published their minutes of the meeting last week, one of the things that they said was that they weren't going to, say in advance what their plan was for the weekend. And I've looked on with Kerrydale Street, and the feeling I had from that was that it probably was sanctioned. And I think the earlier stuff about not spending a penny, apart from actually the match ticket itself, I think that's something that one of the guys in the chat box already mentioned, that the tennis balls are not really hurting the board. My small gripe about it was that it's not as if you're in a warm place like Bangkok or whatever, where you're standing in the rain and it's not particularly cold. You were in Dundee where it was pissing rain and it was freezing. So for the Celtic players to be standing for 3 or 4 minutes, having to warm up again, I don't think for me that was ideal. And also I think in the second half, when we were chasing the game, every time the ball went out for a by kick, they were the goalkeepers spending another minute to take some small balls or whatever away. So I'm not saying for a second that it affected the result. We were terrible. We were absolutely pished. We were lucky to get nothing, but it wasn't really something that I would support to see again in the future.
Yeah, but let's think about what it did do. Do you think it caused the board a level of embarrassment because it made headlines beyond the Scottish sports pages? I would imagine yes, to some extent.
Hopefully, yeah.
And as you say, did it hinder the team? Well, that we don't know. But, I suppose any action you take during a game which doesn't go well, the game, then you leave yourself open to that accusation. There's no way we can prove one way or the other. I mean, it's not like we were flying and scoring goals for fun and suddenly a ball throwing incident occurs and suddenly we can't play football anymore. We've been shite for some time and we were shite again.
For sure.
So it's a continuation of that, really. You just don't know.
Right.
You just don't know.
The balls are on the field for both teams are having that delay. Like it's not like it's not affecting Dundee as well. So if you're, trying to start the match and then you got to stand for 3-4 minutes or whatever. So I don't think it was much, like you said. I don't think you can blame any result on that, but it was just kind of embarrassing. I think, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The protests need, I imagine there's going to be all sorts of protests, right? There's going to be a variety of them. And not all of them are going to be ideal. But I suppose it's the sum of the parts, in totality, continually annoying the board, trying different ways to embarrass them, all the rest of that. I guess you have to look at the bigger picture rather than, it's just one incident and, I don't know I don't know how that would cause the team to play worse.
Right.
It's not going to cause them to play any better, but David.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as I say, I'm not making any excuses for the abject performance. It just, as umpiring boy said, it didn't affect Dundee in any negative way. Whether some of our players saw that as an excuse to kind of down tools, I don't know. But I mean, I know we're going to come to the actual, starting 11, which for me was the biggest contributing factor to how shite we were.
That was the greatest balls up of the day, was it? Well, look what Big Dom says here. Massive global social media protests against the board and Desmond would be better than ball throwing. Well, Big Dom, I suggest you stay tuned throughout the show. There might be a little something for you later on. Little kernel of that getting underway. Speaking of getting underway, I suppose we should get on with the game, should we not? Yeah, I think we've talked about the protests enough. I was going to show a couple of tweets about that, but as you mentioned here, David, the starting lineup. So let's put it over to Shawnee and tell us what you think of this. Oh God, Shawnee.
I was surprised. I mean, the one that stuck out to me the most was Yang getting the start. That kind of surprised me. But not having Dyson available, I guess we don't really have a lot of options on that right side. But I would like to see more of Balikwisha and hopefully try to get him in the lineup and have one of those guys, whether it be Tenecti or him, playing on that other wing, just to create more. Because, I mean, the last few times out for me, Yang's been just invisible. It's like, I think just playing with 10 men on the pitch almost, it seems like he doesn't bring much at all to the table. Beyond that, I mean, didn't really have any problems with it, other than I keep saying, and I say that every week on the North American podcast, like I want to see Sinisalo start. I think it's time to start changing things up there. And so, yeah, I mean, other than that, I think the lineup was solid.
Christy here saying that team sheet is of a man who's trying to make a snidey point and it cost us, the fans and the team. I'm not too sure about that, but when you, as you say, there's a list of players there that other people would rather see, although Scales did start. But yeah, Ralston, Yang, Hatate's been off form pretty badly. He had loads of shots in this game. In fact, maybe it was because of the drink along, I don't know, but the point that Mahesh made is that the underlying performance wasn't as bad as the result. And I always surprise myself when I save the stills that we had so many chances, because I thought we had almost none watching that game. Anything, David, in that lineup that particularly annoyed you?
Yeah, pretty much. I think, going back to Yang, I think it was in one of the Celtic podcasts earlier on I was listening to today. He has played 80 games for us, which I find absolutely astonishing. And if you look at Ralston starting when Donovan was on the bench, all the talk during the week was that AJ would at least have been in the squad. And then if you look at the midfield three, the definition of insanity is picking the same three people and expecting a different result. As soon as you saw those three, McGregor, Hatate and Nigran, it just filled you with a little bit of despair, to be honest. There were options. He could have maybe played Tenecti on the right, where he played for Tunisia, during the week. I think the fact that Maeda was injured and not available, I think come January, assuming he does go, it gives us a small glimpse of the future without him, because he could have played on the left, he could have played on the right. He would have been a significantly better option than Kenny coming on, who was just abject. in the second half. So, for me, the lineup was extremely disappointing. I'm not going to use your favourite word, Gav. It
Thank you.
begins with you. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Do I need to explain that to Shawnee at all?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
Okay, let me just, rather than say it, I don't want to say it. I'll just put it up.
Okay.
That's a forbidden word in this podcast, or any variation of it. All right. So, first bit of action, Iheanacho hits the base of the post with a long-range effort. I forgot we hit the post, Shawnee.
Yeah, that was actually a good hit from Iheanacho. And the broadcast that I was watching, I don't know if you guys had the same commentators, but like they did comment how the keeper was very nonchalant on it and just played it like he had it totally covered, and it hit off the outside of the bar. But that was probably the best chance in the first half that I can think of. We weren't really creating much of anything, so.
This is a bit blurry, David, but this is their first goal straight from a corner. You can't really see much from that angle, but look here. A lot of fingers being pointed at CCV for losing his man.
Yeah, I mean that that still I think is about the closest that CCV actually got to him. You can see almost see the panic in his eyes as he realises he's nowhere near the guy who's got a free header 8 yards out. I mean, it was appalling defending, absolutely appalling. I mean, if you look at the other defenders, they're pretty much touch tight. But there's CCV absolutely lost his man. It was very, very poor. Another game where CCV hasn't had his finest hour and a half.
I think it's fair to say it was his worst game for us. No?
Yeah, it was pretty poor.
I mean, certainly in the headline moments, CCV was found wanting, which is a horrible thing to say because he's been such a pillar for us over the period of his time. But all right, so Hatate got a lot of stick, I saw on social media, for being rubbish. He had a whole bunch of shots, didn't quite get them on target or whatever. This was a lovely little dink ball over the top to KT, Sean.
Oh yeah,
this one?
That was nice.
And then he runs on and must hit the target. Look at that photo.
He was just trying to get it back on his left foot, I think, and probably would have been an easier finish with his right foot to just kind of hook it around the keeper into that corner. He was trying to put it in with his left foot, and that's a tougher angle, I think. So I think he just played that all wrong. Tierney did, but a beautiful ball by Hatate, definitely.
Lovely ball in. Even David, you'd have buried that, would you not? Put your foot through it.
Right foot, left foot, no problem, Gav. No problem at all.
CCV is brutal these days, constantly scoring own goals. Well, we'll get to that. Question that Gavi Boy asks about that corner, though, is what about the other three marking the invisible man?
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. It looked like it was Iheanacho, McGregor, and Hatate, maybe.
All doing nothing in
doing
the box.
Nothing, yeah. One guy in that position, I guess you need, but two guys pretty much providing no other cover for us. So, but it does all fall on CCV, I guess, in the end. But.
I see a lot of this talk as well that Tierney isn't the player that people had hoped for. He hasn't really done it. Here's another angle of him not scoring a goal, just to reinforce that point. But I mean, nobody's doing it at the moment.
Yeah,
it's fair to say.
It's full team effort that nobody's really hitting on any cylinders. I keep saying, like, I've never been a Scales guy, but he's probably been easily our best player this year, which is kind of frightening. Like that.
Although he was absolutely terrible yesterday.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't good yesterday, but
abysmal. But saying that, I think going back to KT, I think Scales was having to cover for him a few times. Tierney's not got the speed to get back. a couple of the times when Tonecti lost the ball, where Tierney was trying an overlap, and then we ended up, it could have been 2 goals exactly the same way, where Tonecti lost the ball, Tierney was terribly out of position, and their winger skills made him look like Messi. It was quite embarrassing. But yeah, for me, I think there was a lot of talk before about Tierney that it was a big risk to bring him back. But the risk was because he was injury prone. For me, what's been quite startling is that he's actually not been playing well. Some people were saying, "Oh, he relies on his strength and his speed," but he was always a footballer. For me, he was always technically, quite gifted. And I have to say that it's just not watching the same player at all. Not even compared to when he left us. I mean, when he went to Arsenal, he became a much better player. But as I say, it's just been a little bit disappointing. And I think there was a photo in one of the clips I saw where Sriracha was in a foul mood. And I think he deserves his place.
All right. Well, this is then Dundee. I saw Dundee being praised there in the comments for their set piece, but they also took their chances when they got them. This is Cal Mack getting beaten to the ball, and then they break Shawnee.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come running up the pitch, this is like a scary moment. You see their big Dundee players hurtling up the pitch, and you think to yourself, "Oh Jesus, what lies ahead?" Well, what lay ahead at this one was Schmeichel palming it clear. I'm not sure if that was going in. Was that going in, do you think, Sean?
I thought it was going wide from my angle of what I thought. But, I mean, that was... Schmeichel's got to play it, I think. Just like in the first half on Iheanacho's shot. I think that Dundee's keeper had to make an effort to save it. But, yeah, I would have thought that was going wide. So I think Schmeichel but still had to, make that save attempt.
Yeah, there's a point there from Mahesh.
Is Mahesh talking about pre-going to Arsenal? Or, I mean, having the third highest contribution yesterday is not exactly a great compliment.
Well, he can clarify that. All right, so that was Schmeichel in that moment. Now, what else did we have? Oh, this is Tonecti getting dispossessed and then making like a piss poor effort at trying to get the ball back, David. Didn't exactly bust a gut.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you go back to the previous still, where it looks as if McGregor's badly controlled the pass, but I mean, Tonecti gave him the previous one for the first attempted goal. It was a terrible pass by Tonecti, and another one who I think we all had high hopes for, but he's been off the boil like everyone else for the last few weeks now. But I think it was exactly the same thing. Tonecti losing the ball first time we got away with it, and then and if you look at that photo there, is Tierney even in shot? So there you've got Scales, using his obvious pace to cover, and it ended up, sort of a second goal.
Yeah, this is the defender sort of skinning Scales to get the low cross in. Is that what you mentioned a minute ago, David?
Yeah. It happened twice. We were lucky to get away with the one when Schmeichel palmed it away. But it was exactly the same thing. Tonecti sort of lost the ball 10 seconds later. We're in trouble.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. You want to say something?
I think, like, Tonecti not busting a gut there, and probably should have taken a foul just to slow down the attack, and could have easily done that. Just a little tug on the shirt because they, were had us on our heels. Definitely CCV and Scales trying to get back.
Yeah, they were dangerous on the break. Taking a foul would have been a
Yeah,
good idea, all right. And then the ball gets played across, and that's what happened, Shawnee boy.
yep.
Was this going in without the touch from
That was
CCV or
another
not?
close one. I don't think it was going in. I think it probably would have trickled wide, but again, it's
Defender on the back post there, though.
yeah. I don't know what CCV can do there. I think
Not
he's
defender,
got
striker.
he's got to do something there, and it's just unfortunate spot for him. And he does. I think I did see like a post on Twitter about like CCV loves a goal against us, and it's kind of true. A lot of own goals in his career for us.
Yeah. It's really sad to see. You wonder what the future is for these players who've been so great for us down the past few years, who are suddenly, well, not maybe suddenly in some cases, but just on the downslide maybe in their careers.
Yeah, I mean, I love CCV, but he has seemingly taking a turn for the worse this year, and I don't know if it's the injuries and all catching up with him. He's just, I think one of his big attributes before was just positioning wise. He's always seemingly in the right spot. But you saw in that first goal, like just got totally beat, and that's unusual, I guess, for him over the years. I don't know what that is. Is it injuries slowing down? Not as physical as he was in the past.
Yeah. And here's Hatate, again should hit the target. Doesn't. This one just trickles wide. They had another chance with a throw-in that was flicked on and headed just wide. This might have hit the post as well, did it, David? Did it just skim the post?
No, I think he just put it wide. I think Schmeichel managed to get into it, put it round the corner. But yeah, I mean, going back to Hatate, excuse me, I thought Hatate, again, he was poor. Obviously, there was no one came out of it with any credit. But he had two decent chances. The one that you'll probably show later, where he hits the guy's arse, and then the pass to Tierney was exceptional. But really, you're looking at very small individual. Out of a 90 minutes, he was a bit of a wasted jersey. But in saying that, I think he was the least bad of our midfielders. I mean, McGregor was awful yesterday. I mean, he just stood beside CCV for the entire game. Passed the ball 2 yards to Scales and told him to where to pass it instead of doing the pass himself. Negrin, I have no idea. I still don't really know what his position is. And I think we'll probably come to the tactics in the second half, because I've absolutely no idea what formation they were attempting in the second half.
Right, well, here's another moment that I kind of forgot about during the game, probably because of the copious amounts of Pinot Grigio. But this is Iheanacho at the far post. Keeper blocks it. This was maybe a better chance than I realised. Remember this one, Shawnee?
Yeah, it was definitely, and you didn't realize it as much live how good a chance it was. Iheanacho, definitely that was going in. So that was a massive play by the keeper there. He just got really big and just had everything covered. But yeah, that was along with Hatate hitting the guy's ass on the shot. Those are probably the two best chances I can think of in the second half.
Oh, well, what about this moment? Were you screaming for handball like I was? I mean, I think I scared a few of the viewers because we were having a lull in the game, just talking about something else, and my feed was a few seconds ahead of everybody else's, I think. And suddenly I jumped up, and they said it was like watching someone with Tourette's scream for a handball. It looked like all the world a handball.
Oh yeah,
first time I saw it.
Totally. I mean,
but was it ultimately?
No, I don't think so. I mean, those angles, you can be pretty grainy. So just like when you go back to Iheanacho's goal in Europa League getting taken away, like did it bounce off his arm, and it's a bad angle to see it. But from what I could tell, it definitely looked like it hit his face.
Yeah, some of these pictures are very blurry, I'm afraid, but that's because I don't have Celtic TV anymore, Slabbering Cabbage. And I didn't really have time to do anything other than steal them from, YouTube highlights. And this is the moment I think that you've both prefaced, where the shot comes off a defender's ass. That's when you know it's not going to be your day, David.
Yeah.
When defenders' asses are stopping your moment of glory. David, do you want to pick up on that? Any of the key words in that question? Asses, glory.
Yeah. No, I think it was. I mean, if you look at that still, you think how has the Dundee defender managed to get all the way across there by the time Hatate's managed to make contact with the ball. But I think Hatate should have done better in that one. So yeah, it was probably a bit fortunate from the Dundee perspective, but I think he could have done better.
Okay.
Can I just say for the penalty though that I mean if we'd got it against us, we'd have been raging. But if you look at the Braga game, it was an on-field decision, and then the reason that we didn't get the penalty was because they could not prove that the ball didn't actually hit his hand. I've not seen any footage. I mean, I was watching it from the world famous, Bangkok Celtic Supporters Club with a beer in my hand, so probably wasn't sort of best sighted for it either. But I didn't see anywhere that you could prove 100% that the ball did not hit his hand. So in this case, the on-field decision was turned over, and I don't think. I mean, they're clutching at straws. I mean, as I say, I'm not convinced it was a penalty, but we were, if you're being consistent with the Braga situation, then quite easily, we could have had the penalty.
Yeah, I had that same thought that it wasn't 100% conclusive. I don't think, like you said, and yeah, but I think in Scotland they aren't as, I think they don't really stick to that formula of that it's got to be 100% conclusive to overturn that, like they did in Europa. So I think I don't know. I think you're right though that it could have been given as a penalty, but
yeah, contrasting those two moments is an interesting exercise, but ultimately gets you nowhere. There was one little moment of quality. I don't know if you remember this. This one also escaped me, but Balikwisha having a nice little touch and drawing the ball back, and a shot that nearly dipped under the keeper, but for the goalkeeper's save. Sean, do you remember this?
Yeah.
Quality.
And that goes back to like what I said when we at the start with the lineups. I want to see a little bit more of him because I think he's shown a few flashes over the last few weeks that there's a player in there. And I don't know if it's just positioning wise, like that, Brendan isn't comfortable with either him or Tenecti on that right side, and he's just feels like he has to stick with either Yang or Forrest. But I would like to see a little bit more of him, and that was nice. Like you said, nice little touch beforehand, and then it definitely looked like he was going in, and so another good save by the keeper there.
Well, the jury in the live chat is definitely saying it was not a penalty. So there you go. They have spoken. The wheels of justice. If you thought the other pictures were blurry, check out the best one I can get of Iheanacho's header right at the end. Look at that. Oh my God. That's barely worth looking at. He had a header right at the end.
He did. That was nice cross by Tierney. That was Tierney's best contribution of the game. Only contribution, really. Early cross, which we didn't do a lot of. And that was, just flicked it wide. Yeah.
No, there's a lot of talk in the chat about Brendan. From Brendan must go to Brendan's not to blame, to this mess, to he's working his way out of the club. if he's lost his mojo, then he can GTF. I haven't actually heard his post-match interview, but obviously I've seen this. This is a tweet by, the Daily Record shouldn't do that, show that. Brendan saying, there's no way you go into a race and be given the keys to a Honda Civic and say, I want you to drive it like a Ferrari. It's not going to happen. What do we make of those comments, David?
I think what he was trying to say was that we don't have the speed, the pace that we had for all of last season. If you look at the forward line in the second half, compare that to having, Kyogo, Maeda, and Kun. It's almost like watching a different sport. So I think that's what he was saying. But I think for me, Rodgers has to take a lot of blame. If you look at, we've played 8 league games, scored 11 goals. I think there's 4 other Premiership teams have scored more than us. 2 of them that have only scored 1 goal fewer. We've failed to score in 6 of our last 11 games. And we were playing against a team that got absolutely battered by Aberdeen 4-0 in the last game that we played, or that they played. It was absolutely desperate. So the idea that Rodgers is incapable of picking a team that can at least score against Dundee, for God's sake, was just crazy. And definitely, if anyone in the chat can explain to me what the formation was in the second half. I guess 3 at the back, but I never saw Iheanacho pretty much in the box. And we ended up with Kenny sort of doing what Kenny does, really. But I think for me, Rodgers has to take a lot of blame for yesterday.
Yeah, Plunge McNugget here saying he was saying the players aren't good enough, and he's right. And then I saw this tweet by Ken, which some people are pointing out the flaws of and stuff. But free Casper free, KT free, Scale 600 grand, Ralston free, Calmac free, Hatate and Negrin about 1 million or so, Yang 2 million or so, Iheanacho free, Forrest free, McCown 1 million or so, Kenny 150 grand. Now, we can pick that apart, Sean, but still, that does tell you something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, then you have, Engels on the bench, who's your most expensive player and can only get 10, 15 minutes a match lately, or all season, really. You got Bernardo on the bench, who is 6 million around. There is. It's just, I think the purchases they have made have not come to fruition, and you end up then playing those guys, the McGregors and Ralstons and Forrest, who've come up through the system and all. And I don't know. There's a rot right now in the club, I think, and I think there needs to be serious changes. And I think probably the start is McGregor needs to sit, I think, for a little while, just at least to see if it can shake things up, I think would be the biggest thing. Like, I think, David, you said it, like, just we keep trotting that same midfield 3 out, and it's not working. I think that's the biggest issue of why we're not scoring goals.
Yeah, but is Rodgers going to break with tradition and do something radical as a lame duck manager in his last season, David?
Well, I think somebody mentioned in the chat that is he just spitting the dummy, where he's like insisting that he knows better, that he's playing these people that are. Any of us would have picked 4 or 5 different players to start yesterday. Clearly, there was like Donovan, etc. So I don't know what he's thinking. I think he seems to be maybe playing his ticket a little bit. It was one of the think he was interviewed by the BBC or somebody during the week, where he was saying how it's a piece of piss to be a manager in the English Premiership compared to compared to the challenge of being a manager of Celtic.
Which is this tweet here, the match of the day. It would be like a holiday managing in the Premier League because it's nothing like the pressure being Celtic manager, is what he was saying. I mean, he's definitely gone at the end of the season. He's definitely sniffing around other jobs. There's no question of it, and, that's just the fact of the matter, right? Is a lot of people saying, he has to go now. If he's halfway out the door, let's get rid. But, you want this board to get rid of Rodgers now? What is this board going to give us instead of Rodgers? And Rodgers isn't the main problem that the club have got, right? Where are we on this, David? What's your take?
I mean, the thing is, like, if we do get rid of Rodgers, then we either go down the Huns route, where they get rid of him and then realise they'll get no one else who's interested in the job, and we end up with like Maloney and Scott Brennan, or Neil Lennon was telling people he was available. So I think we need to sort of be careful about what we wish for. Mahesh's point there about Celtic's net XG, I couldn't give a toss about XG. I really couldn't. If you watched the whole game yesterday, we had 90% possession in the second half, and achieved nothing. If you look at Hearts, the fact is they've scored about 8 goals more than us after 8 games. Do we think? I've been a board apologist. Yeah, right. No, but no. I mean, the absolute opposite, Monty. I think you're taking the piss again. But no. I mean, for me, we should have. We should be building a team that could easily, be. It's not about where we are against Rangers, etc. But they're an absolute free fall. And we should be able to to do much better. And I think there was a comment in one of the chats earlier on about how Hearts are favourites on Sunday, and I agree 100%.
Oh yeah.
If we play the same way we played against Dundee, we'll get absolutely battered.
Very unlikely we're suddenly gonna. Yeah, are you giving somebody a shout out? I better do the same. Happy birthday to Diggs, who's 54 today. Hope you're well, Diggs. Everyone at the Celtic World extends their best wishes to you. Nobody knows who I'm talking about. That's fine. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Shawnee, have you anything to say on this matter?
No, I mean, I think David covered it pretty well there. Definitely. We're just stale, and just not.
Do you think his job's in danger? Look at this tweet here before we answer that. Paul Smith saying, trust me, anyone still defending him will be with the rest of us in 2 weeks' time. It's only a matter of time now, but they'll be forced to sack him once Rangers beat us. He'll maybe survive a Graz doing and even an easy Hearts win, but he can't survive losing at Hampden to them. Those 3 things happen. What's the story, Shawnee?
I think they would stick with Brendan to finish the season. I don't think they would get rid of him mid-season unless the wheels totally fall off. And maybe that is the wheels falling off if we lose those 3 matches. But I don't know. I just don't see them dropping him mid-season.
What about this? Christie saying Yamada probably have double figures by now if he played. I saw somebody else saying Iheanacho does well with a speedy co-striker, and we have one. We've got a guy with a bit of pace, but we already asked the question, is Brendan going to do anything radical? I doubt he's going to do that. Here's another post. As a massive fan of Japanese football, I wonder what it'll take for Shin Yamada and Hayato Inamura to be given a chance in this Celtic team. And I see the Japanese fans are now saying, don't go to Celtic, Japanese players. It's a poison chalice. You get treated like shit, David.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think we've been, I think, if you look at the players, we had like Maeda, Hatate, Kyogo, obviously Nakamura. But no, I think that's unfair. I do think it's unfair for Yamada not to get a chance. I really don't get it. That I mean, Kenny. What did he do in the second half? I mean, seriously, nothing. So is Yamada that bad that he can't get on, even on the bench? Inamura, I think it's difficult because I think Sarachi is a much better option. He's proven, at the SPL level. But Inamura didn't necessarily let us down. But I think we should have Shin, unless he's absolutely diabolical in training. He should be there before Kenny, at least to give us a different option and having two big lumps up front that we don't cross the ball to.
Well, Stephen isn't part of the show at the moment because of the time zones in Australia, but he'll be back shortly whenever the clocks change. But he responded to this text that I just showed, and here's his answer. Yeah, it's a real mystery how a striker who scored 2 goals in a year isn't picked for the Celtic side. Shawnee. That's his take on the Yamada situation.
Yeah, I would like to see him, but there's not much to go off of to say that he deserves the spot. But like David said, I think Kenny is pretty. He is what he is. I don't think he's a guy you want to put on when you're chasing a goal. Like I don't really have much confidence in him. So I would like to see more of what we have in Shin. But maybe he is like diabolical in training. I don't know. I don't know why we haven't seen him. And I've seen people saying like that it's just Brendan being stubborn and maybe it's not his signing, so he's not going to use him, stuff like that. I think Brendan probably would use, I imagine he's going to put the best guys out there. So if that's how he sees it, that Kenny is ahead of Shin, I find it surprising because I just don't think Kenny is, Celtic level striker. So I'd like to see more of Shin.
Yeah, if you're not going to use these people when other ideas aren't working out well, and you want to sort of throw something else at the wall and see if it sticks, that's not probably how any football manager would define their method.
Right.
But, there's got to come a time when you think we've got to shake things up here. Give other players a chance. Players hungry to prove themselves against these clodhoppers.
Yeah.
David?
For sure. Yeah. No, I think there's, there are people on the bench, maybe not so much up front, but, maybe like, Shin, but likes of Murray, Donovan, hopefully AJ will be back, quite soon. But Sarachi definitely. I would be surprised if he doesn't start on Thursday. I think, to be honest, who really cares about Europa League? But the fact that Tierney played the full 90 minutes and Iheanacho had to play the full 90 minutes because there was no one else on the bench. For me, the Europa League game is irrelevant, really. The Hearts game is much more important for me. So whether we play Tierney so that Sarachi plays in the important game, but I think it's we've got players that could sort of step up defensively at least.
Well, here's a question from Mark L. Who makes these decisions? I'll answer my own question. It's Dermot Desmond. I don't know if Dermot Desmond's picking the team exactly, but he's certainly at the root cause of a lot of the issues that we face, it's fair to say. Now, previously in the comments, there was a question about, the nature of protests, and what we need is like a worldwide social media movement to try and, make the points that we need to make rather than these throwing balls incidents and the like. So there's a little something that we've been doing here at the Celtic World, because we see ourselves. We're obviously a channel and a podcast that is made by contributors from all around the world, and we have viewers from all around the world. So we're remote fans, as you can see, Malaysia, Bangkok, United States. We're not in the front line, it seems, of the struggle. So what can we do to contribute and maybe counter the narrative that the board like to imply, that this is just a bunch of local troublemakers, whereas in fact, that's quite far from the truth. There's a worldwide fan base. So we've put together a little video of something that we hope might grow over time. So shall we watch that, gentlemen? This is the historic unveiling of the Where is the Ambition video. Here we go.
Instead of this settling for mediocre, imagine what we could be.
There you go, gents. What do you make of that?
Excellent.
Yeah, like it. Saw some familiar faces in there, so yeah, it was good. Got to get some more from my American pals.
Absolutely. Not a very good picture of me, I have to say, but I'll take one for the team. I was there telling my son, let the camera, not that way, this way. And by the end, I'm looking pretty peeved. But yeah, that's the idea behind the Where is the Ambition movement. There's plenty of people in the Celtic world that we can add to that. And that's the plan. We've got contributors from various countries. So thank you very much, David. Apart from the dodgy music, the music has taken some time to get right, and we think we did. So I'll take that. Take that as a backwards compliment. There's lots of people within Celtic World and Celtic World adjacent that we can add to that, but anyone can. That is not got the Celtic World logo on it, so we're not making it all about us. It's a Celtic Fan Collective logo at the start there. So if anyone wants to contribute, any listeners want to take photographs of themselves, because like I say, we have listeners, viewers all over the world, please do so. That would be great. If you want to, you can check out the information that's in the show notes to this, where you can find this link and click it, and in there you will find the video if you want to share it, but also the artwork for the poster to hold up in front of yourself, as well as instructions on how best to go about that so that they're usable. And then you pop the image in that folder and we'll add it to the video within reason, as long as it's, appropriate. There's no nudity, no one's being harmed in the process of taking the photograph. And also, obviously, there's no point in having 25 people holding up pictures or posters in different pictures of, Coat Bridge or somewhere, David. But, one representative from each of these places, that's the kind of thing could grow quite well, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. And if you do send any photos that don't meet Gav's quality control, you can always make them look better, like he did for my Bangkok Celtic one. So no, thank you very much for that, Gav.
No, thank you. Monty has a huge photo for us, I think he's saying. So send that in and we'll edit it slightly. Thankfully, no me singing on it. Well, yeah, of course. That's only for a very select audience to hear any of the tunes. Oh, that reminds me, Shawnee. We should discuss. You can feel free to play any of the tunes from the back catalogue of Celtic Karaoke. Bestow that gift upon the people of America.
Yeah, I'm still learning all the ins and outs of running it, so I've seen
You're
that.
hiding behind the complexity of the controls.
Yes, definitely.
Paddy Lavery, you can definitely do one from Ardoyne. Be delighted to have it. That's the spirit. I don't think you'll be able to get your flag in because then it'll have to be taken in portrait. But yeah, a picture from Ardoyne would be great. And someone that is in Airdrie. I wonder who that is. So maybe that's that. See, there's a Hearts fan in. Hope he's enjoying his moment in the sun.
It would be a moment in the sun for a Hearts fan.
All right, so there you go. That's that. And we'll have to see what happens with that. But like I say, that video, that's the first form of it. And we'll put that out in the socials and stuff. And then it'll grow over time as we get more and more pictures in. There's hopefully a few more to come from the States, from Shawnee's peeps. And likewise from all the CSCs we've had on the show. Going to send them a message and see if we can't make that point. I mean, obviously the moustache references Desmond. He's either the recipient of that message or the object of the subject of all the problems, the object of all the problems, the cause of all the problems. So the message could equally be to other shareholders. But where is the ambition is the question that lies behind all of the issues, really. Right, David?
Sure.
100%.
No, I haven't shown your flag yet, Paddy. It's on my to-do list. I've got a photograph of Paddy's Celtic flag pole in his back garden. He's very keen for me to show it. All right, what else are we going to do then, just to wrap up the show? A couple of little Celtic socials. Well, they're not even Celtic socials, but a couple of things I saw on social media that I thought were quite funny. First one is a sort of, exposing the lies of social media. Those are always good to see, aren't they? Look at this glamorous woman drinking champagne and sunning herself on a multi-million-dollar yacht. And then she gets up. Look at this. Oh, what a life she has. How elegant. Totally misjudges the dive. Gotta say, that's quite funny. These are just a couple of little things, yes, just to entertain the troops at the end of the show. So this one as well. Piercing the nonsense of, fashion shows. Shawnee, you're probably a man for the fashion shows in the States, are you?
Yeah, that's not me.
Here's a guy who is an intruder and he walks down the catwalk just wearing a plastic bag, and hoping to be taken seriously until security see him. But I guarantee there were some people there nodding and saying, "Oh yes, interesting, David. I like what you've done."
I'm sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, let's leave it at that then. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking part in the comments. as always. They've been great. Thank you, Shawnee boy, all the way in Pennsylvania.
Back to bed for a little bit. Thanks for having me on.
Back to bed. Thanks for getting up and joining us with your morning coffee. And David in Bangkok, as always, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail indeed. We're going to leave you with that. Oh, I see they're all talking to the Hearts fan. So there's nobody saying goodbye. They're too busy arguing amongst themselves. All right, we'll see you on the next show. Until next time, cherry bye. Hail, hail.
Hell yeah, boys.
Right, bye.